I'm Mike Messier, and welcome to episode 15 of Short Film Showcase. We're glad you're here. If you would like to have your short film on the Short Film Showcase, be sure and contact our producer, Bryan Casey, through bcfilms.net. That's bcfilms.net, and we'll be sure and get your short film on the Short Film Showcase. Joining us now is Christopher Grace. Christopher, how you doing?
Pretty good, Mike.
Good. You're a filmmaker from the Massachusetts area, is that right?
For the last 5 years, yeah.
And where are you from originally?
Louisville, Kentucky.
That's great.
Yeah.
What made you come up to Massachusetts?
A bunch of different reasons, but one of them was their growing indie environment. Like, a lot of people were building the infrastructure to produce films at a very low budget, and the government up here saw an opportunity, and it's still kind of there, which that had a big draw also.
Nice.
So.
And some of your projects are, there's a feature called...
Oh, I did a feature here, after being here about a year, called Third Shift.
Right.
And it screened in Boston, and I think in 2000, was it 9 or 10?
Yeah.
I think 2009.
I checked out the website this morning for Third Shift, some of the promotional videos, and really cool stuff. You had a great director of photography, it seems.
Yeah, Leo, yeah. Actually, he moved to Brooklyn. He was there for a while, and I think now he's finally made it out to LA. So
yeah,
he's a very good eye. And as far as like editing or shooting for an edit, very keen.
Yeah.
Eyeball. You know.
And did you write the screenplay for Third Shift yourself? Or
Yes.
Did you? Okay,
yeah, I did.
good.
Yeah.
What influenced you? What brought these thoughts to your mind?
Well, Third Shift actually grew from a couple different screenplays that I had written over the years. I had just gotten off of a very lethargic, horror film, and I wasn't feeling very creative in it.
Right.
So I locked myself in an office for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Came out and said, I'm done. I'm not going to put another tinker to it. And then about 3 years later, I finally got it made. Nice. Up here in Boston, you know.
The toughest thing, Christopher, sometimes is to finish a project. It's kind of easy to start, but then I've been in that myself, when you're trying to finish something with the editing, with, it's just tough.
I think with creative people in general, whether it's in film or other media outlets or just painters, and it's the constant draw towards different parts of your creative mind, I think. And you're always coming up with new ideas, and you don't want to distinguish those new ideas. So you try to find space for it in the idea that you're on and the project that you're on, and sometimes it gets convoluted, but I think it's probably mostly the case, and it has always been with me, is trying to focus, to get something done. And like I just told a producer friend of mine when she was like, hey, send me something when it's done. It's like, it's never done.
Right.
It's never done.
There's a tweak, there's a turn,
it's
there's
like,
a twist.
That's not good. It's like I could 4 days reshoot on that one right there,
Right.
But yeah, sooner or later, you just kind of have to wipe your hands of it.
You got to go with the flow and
just
just
go do this next thing.
See what happens. Yeah, and go on to the next project. How do you choose your actors, Christopher, when you're casting?
First thing I do is, if I'm writing for a particular person, I just let them know, and I already say, hey, I'm writing something.
Right.
What are you going to be doing next month? And nothing. So, or I'm busy these days, and it's like, okay, that'll kind of dictate it. Also, if I haven't anything in mind, but it's a character that's like really growing out of me, and I put it on the page, I could wait on it. I have characters I wrote 10 years ago that I'm still waiting to meet that person.
Right.
And I want to meet that person. I would like to be in an echelon to where I can see actors that already have the capabilities, didn't necessarily write for them, but can go, hey, Bob, you want to do this?
Right.
But really, it's bumping into them and saying, I have you in my file cabinet.
Right.
You know?
Are you an auditions guy for your stuff, or not really?
I've held auditions and I haven't, and it's hit and miss. I get a little bit out of auditions just because like I said, I wait sometimes years before I bump into them, and that kind of space gives you an opportunity to bump into one of them, whether, and you don't have to go to the supermarket to do
Right.
it. You set up that little microcosm and you're able to do it. But also, if I can get something cast without having to go through that process,
Sure.
because for me, coming from caring about actors, it's grueling. I mean, it's just like you really walking into denial, separation of self, and
Right.
all these different things. You're putting yourself completely in a vulnerable situation, and I feel vulnerable sitting in those
Wow.
situations. So I kind of detract from that, but
Okay.
at the same time, there's pluses and minuses. But honestly, I'd rather just find the people,
Right.
cultivate a relationship with them, find out what they're actually able to do with words,
Yep.
and then just put them in the situation.
Let them go. Yeah. What's your favorite part of filmmaking?
Oh, man, there's a silence, there's a silent moment where you're looking at something that not you, but any, I guess, filmmaker probably has experienced it, where you see almost the essence of why you were sitting there writing that word, or that you had an opportunity to witness art as it's happening,
Yeah.
and I think it's that silent moment where,
Right.
as an individual, you're going, I just very enjoy what just happened there.
Yeah. You become a involved spectator.
You're a spectator.
Right.
You
Yeah.
had nothing. Yeah, right. You had nothing. You had to do with the cultivating of the material,
Right.
but you didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
That was pure actor's instinct,
Right.
pure opportunity. Camera was in the right place. Gaffer, lighting tech put the light exactly where it needed to be, and I was just here to experience it. And then you're hearing those words. It's almost like an echo.
Right.
It's that silent moment where you're like, wow, that's why I do it.
I ran an audition the other day, and the actor, just a great actor, he hit every beat. Every beat that I had written, he just nailed.
It's a very surreal moment.
Yeah.
When you see an actor start rhythming and riffing off of your things, and you're like, hold on, did I think about that rhythm when I
Right.
was writing it? And if I didn't, I did now.
Yeah.
I'm right. I'm like getting to piggyback on brilliant.
Yeah, and when you get a guy in that instance, for me, it was a guy named Robert Bob Kennelly, and just nailed every little beat, and I was just like, man, this guy is good.
It's awesome when true artists make you look good.
Yeah.
And you say, you know what? If for anything else, this is why it should be done and why I should continue to do it.
And do you do some acting yourself, or?
I have. I was just talking to Will. I try to either work as an actor or as a crew member, co-collaborator on student films almost every year.
Yeah.
Since I've been here, when I was in Los Angeles, I was there for almost 2 years. I worked on 3 student films there. For me, it is kind of like putting myself to the situation. Like, if I'm going to ask an actor to do certain things and I'm going to put them into certain situations, I better be willing to go there. And
Right.
do I know how to get there?
Yeah.
So how dare I ask an actor to go to this place or that place if I'm not going to take the chance to fail?
Go through those depths, those emotional depths.
To be the failure in the sake of, or in the eyes of any opportunity for success, I need to be willing to fail as an actor.
Right.
Or else I have no say in whether or not I succeed as a filmmaker.
That's great.
Yeah. So I like acting, just in its pure, like, in the moment, breathe and live and listen. And but I think my joy comes from working with the actor.
Right.
like finding the character, finding that moment where you aren't afraid to let that actor go. Like, you're not afraid.
Yeah.
Like, I've talked enough and we've worked enough, and now just
Let them do their job.
the cinema is the venue. And,
Let them make the magic.
yeah. I mean, it's scary, but at the same time, I think that's why I decided early on that it had to be more than acting for me.
Right.
But I think acting is a conduit. I think a painter acts.
Right.
A musician acts. You know,
Teacher even.
a teacher, a president.
Yeah.
You know, they all have to find a place to communicate with whoever they're talking to, and they can't always stay consistent. So that's when the actor has to come in and play those roles. And as a director, I act. You know, as a director, and as a like when I'm looking at in an editing suite trying to figure out which frames to smack together, you have to be that actor. You have to play that part. And so I think the actor is the conduit to all the different aspects. So to disrespect that is the first sin.
Yeah, the first sin of filmmaking, to disrespect the actor. And some filmmakers at all levels, they might even be very successful and they just don't get it as far as the actor, director, writer relationships.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But on the flip side, a guy like yourself and guys, you can name them up and down the line that really get the actor, what they're going through. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like you've studied a little psychology or philosophy. Is that true? I'm just guessing.
I've been a philosopher since I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to tell stories to my brothers and sisters and make them up, but it was based on like random things. Like, but yeah, for me, it always starts with why am I having this idea?
Right.
Not ooh, I just had a great idea. I need to write that down. It's I had an idea. Why is it a good idea? Is it a good idea? Who's going to care?
Right.
Why should I care? And through the process of that philosophical like quagmire that I catch myself in, I figure out, okay, this is something I'm going to concentrate on, or yeah, nobody's going to care. Yeah.
Right.
I should go make a sandwich.
Here's an offbeat question, Christopher. If you had a dream cast, any 3 actors of any level,
awesome.
living, dead, anything you
I
want.
actually just answered that the other day on Facebook. That's easy. My number 1 would be Paul Newman.
Okay.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to say the best thing to ever happen to anybody was somebody's death, but the death of James Dean kind of put him in a situation where he can have the career that he wanted.
Right.
And then he should have had to begin with. And as far as I'm concerned, that man did more in silent moments and giving speeches on screen, and then who he was outside of filmmaking
Right.
and outside of the actor. I'm sorry, just like to have an audience with that individual and then have that person want to please me as a filmmaker, as far as like I just want to get it right, Christopher. You know, that would be amazing. I've had dreams about it. I cried the day he died.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
I heard out of the corner of my ear like Butch just died. I was like, oh,
Boy, yeah.
I was distraught for a couple of days, and then probably. I really, really like, as far as a female actress, there's a lot of older actresses that I like, but I'd say that's a tough one.
Katharine Hepburn?
No, I like. Shoot, that's difficult, because I'll like see a female actor. It's difficult because I like to watch female actors work because I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like opening a present. I was like, I don't get it.
Sure.
So when it actually happens, I like Anne Hathaway's.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
She's great.
As far as like this generation. I really, really like Shirley MacLaine.
Oh yeah.
Like early, like not like Some Come Running and shit like that.
Right.
That's-
Well, you already did.
Sorry.
Well, we'll take care of it.
Okay. Like Shirley MacLaine when she was young was just spot on.
Yeah.
And then the third person would probably have to be Martin Scorsese. I'd like to
good.
act in a scene with him.
I love it,
You know?
Christopher.
I want to be in the taxi and him sitting in the back seat talking about the person up there in the window. You know?
Nice. You and I could talk about film all day,
Yep.
but we're out of time.
Awesome.
Christopher.
Or not awesome, but maybe another time.
We'll have to have you back next year or something when some more
I'll
projects.
put something together just for it then.
Well, I think we do have a 14-minute piece by you coming
roughly,
up.
yeah.
And let me introduce that.
Okay.
Okay, folks, on the Short Film Showcase right now, we're going to have Christopher Grace's piece, Residual. It's a 14-minute piece. Let's check out Residual by our guest, Christopher Grace, right here on the Short Film Showcase.
Hope you enjoy.
Becca, what's the matter?
Nothing. I'm just gonna get some water, go back to bed.
What was that? What happened?
I just saw a man through the kitchen window.
Stay here, lock the door, okay? Rebecca, okay?
Okay, okay. I swear I saw a man in the window. I dropped the glass and then poof, he was gone.
I have no doubt, hon.
Hey, don't patronize me. I know what I saw.
All right, I believe you. Let's just go back to bed. Well, that's odd.
What is?
Never told you, but I used to sleepwalk as a kid.
Really?
Yeah. And, I'd have this reoccurring dream where I'd be wandering through this gloomy cemetery and come up to this gravestone, and before the etchings ever came into focus, someone would say something. I could never make it out, but I'd turn around and I'd see this old guy just standing there. I'd get scared and wake up and be 2 blocks from my house, just standing there in my PJs.
That's messed up.
Yeah. That's not the odd thing. The man you just described, the black trench coat, black hat, sad eyes. I think it was the same guy from my dream. I'm gonna be late. Have a good day.
Hello? Are you lost? How did you get in here?
Hey, I'm home. Why are you just sitting here?
Can you hear that?
No? No, what is it?
I could swear that I've been hearing footsteps. Like there's a little kid running around upstairs.
Aw, soon enough.
I'm being serious.
Okay.
Today when I was finishing the laundry, I turned around to come upstairs and I looked up and there was a little kid in a striped shirt at the top of the stairs looking at me.
Are you okay?
I know what I saw.
Becca. I heard it. Stay here.
I'm coming.
Hey, kid, stop.
It's just a kid.
Yeah, so? I don't believe it. This can't be.
Jack, what is it?
Dad, you know how I feel about being here.
Son, please.
I'll be in the car.
It's okay, Becca. He'll figure it out. Everything is going to be all right.
Jack? Jack? Is everything okay?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I think everything's gonna be just fine.
Up next on the Short Film Showcase, we have a nice trailer for Lonesome Thoughts, a film by Dave Gabinelli. Let's check out the trailer for Lonesome Thoughts right here on the Short Film Showcase.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you have? So, how does ice cream sound?
Yay!
Kevin Goldenberg. I'm doing great. You've got any stuff?
So, baby, how much for what you got?
Hi, Mrs. Wilson. Hi.
Right now in the short film showcase, we have a special guest, William Decoff, coming in right here on the short film showcase. Decoff.
How you doing, pal?
How are you?
Good.
And we met, I believe, on the set of a Richard Gere film, Chico. Is that correct? Back in Woonsocket.
Oh,
Did we
yeah?
meet on the set
yeah.
of that?
Yeah, on a very cold day, as I remember. There
Yes.
wasn't any warm days on Chico.
And we hit it off because we both have, and you more than myself, have experience in the world of professional wrestling as well as film.
Yeah, and even though I lived it, I think your vast knowledge was definitely greater than mine.
As a fan, I read all the magazines, Sports Review.
It had to be
Wrestling.
true if it was in the magazines.
Oh, yeah, of course. Bill Apter is the Bible of wrestling.
Absolutely.
And you wrestled, we'll just talk about wrestling for a little
Sure.
while. You wrestled in...
Let's see, I wrestled in Montreal, I wrestled in Los Angeles, I wrestled in Florida, I wrestled in Texas, I wrestled in Kansas City. I hit a lot of the NWA territories. I was booked by Killer Kowalski and Gary Hart.
Nice.
And so I got around quite a bit, and that's when wrestling was still in the territories.
Right.
So it was a little bit more fun to work in those days than it is now.
It was the 1970s, 1980s.
Yeah, late 1970s into the 1980s.
Right, that's great. And you were trained by a gentleman named Killer Kowalski.
Killer Kowalski and Gene LaBelle to a smaller extent. And then when I went up to Montreal, I was taken under the wing of Hans Schmidt up there, who was a legend. And I just had some very good teachers. I was very, very fortunate with the paths that I took. And down in Texas, on the business side, Gary Hart was very good to me. And I was the type of person to where I was a sponge. I would talk to everybody, try to get as much information as I could, throw away the information that wasn't relevant to me. And I used the stuff that I learned fairly well, especially for a smaller guy.
And here's an interesting question. You wrestled a lot in tag teams, is that correct?
Yes, the O'Reilly brothers.
And as an O'Reilly brother, working in a tag team, that collaboration has to be like working in a film, where the writer might be different than the director, different than the actor, of course.
Yeah, it was really cool. My tag team partner was a guy named Joe Mara, who was from the South Shore, who was a great athlete, very good collegiate wrestler. And the two of us worked two entirely different styles. I was a little bit more rough and tumble, and I had the martial arts background to where people, you did a Juju Gatami in 1982. Nobody had no idea what the heck you were doing. People weren't exposed to martial arts the way they are now. And then my wrestling partner with the collegiate style, the two of us, we got over pretty well.
Yeah. And in a film, Tricks of a Woman, was that what the title?
Yeah.
It actually, you're in it as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
This film got to the Cannes Film Festival, is that correct?
Yeah, but actually that did very well. My good friend Todd Norwood was the director, and in my eyes, Todd is one of the top 2 or 3 filmmakers in the area, and an absolutely amazing person. And actually, my son Timmy was in that, and he was in the clip that when they had the viewings, they thought Timmy's clip was the funniest thing of the entire movie.
Right.
And eventually, it got cut.
Right.
And a lot of people thought it was because he upstaged the names of the film, and Timmy was only like 5 or 6 at the time.
This is an interesting business. You could perform very well in a film and for whatever reason, the aesthetics or the artistic choice or politics or whatever, you can be cut from a film and end up on the cutting room floor, and it's frustrating for an actor to have that experience.
It is, but the most important thing is that you had the experience.
Right.
And you know, the memory of Timmy doing it and the things that Todd said about Timmy afterwards, to just look at my little boy and realize at that time, I was like, wow, he is talented. It isn't just me being a parent thinking my kid was talented. Other people coming home and saying, wow, he is really good.
How old is your son now?
Timmy's 12 now.
Nice.
Which is scary.
What's it like as a father? You just touched on it, but to see that second generation of entertainer kind of coming into his own, and he's still young. You know, but
yeah, it's fun. It's like, you know, I realized early on that Timmy actually is a better actor than I am. He makes better choices. And I can remember we were driving into to an audition one time. It was for the movie Furry Vengeance. And the scene was just a little boy throwing ice cubes at a bear because the bear was asleep. He wanted to get the bear to do something. And it was just, you know, movie stupid bear throwing ice cubes. So we're driving in, and Timmy's like 7 years old. And so I'm messing with him, and I go, so Timmy, how you going to play it today? And he looked at me. He looked out the window, thought for a second, looked back, and he says, well, I'm going to play it mischievous, but not fresh. And it's funny. It's like, here I am, a grown man. In my own mind, there's a vast difference between the two, but I had never even articulated the difference in my own mind.
Right.
And it was just such a great choice.
Yeah.
And it just seems now, it's like, you know, whenever we're talking about anything, I don't even discuss choices with them because usually my choices are wrong and his are right. And that's cool.
You can't beat youth. The instincts of a kid, a teenager, or your son is 12, you said.
Yeah.
They're just sharp as a razor blade.
Yeah.
That's great. And have you been able to work with your son?
Actually, let's see, Tricks of a Woman we did.
Yeah.
And then in a Richard Griffin movie, Timmy was only like 4.
Yeah.
We did a scene in that, but recently, the McDonald's did a film, The Witching Hour, which will be coming out next year. And Timmy and I actually got to do a scene directly with each other.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, it was one of the highlights of my life.
Wow.
It was just so special. It was really good. And and I was really happy because Kevin McDonald usually doesn't show dailies to his actors, and I don't think you should either.
Right.
But he pulled me aside and said, "Well, you got to see this." And he pulled me aside and let me watch the scene, and I was very, very happy.
Well, let's expand on that. As a filmmaker yourself, why do you not want to show the dailies, which is segments of the work, to the actors while the piece is still in progress?
Well, the thing is with me, I'm an actor's director because I'm an actor first. I kind of fell into directing. As an actor, I don't want to see the dailies because I find it distracting.
Right.
And what happens is oftentimes when you know, the faithful artist, as you know, disappears into his work. A good writer disappears into his work. And the thing is that when you see yourself, you're pulled out of it.
Self-analyzation.
Yeah, and then you're going to go, you know, consciously, subconsciously, I believe that you're going to go in a different direction.
Right.
And if I think the only time I might show an actor a daily is if they were doing a really bad job.
Right.
And it's like, this is what this looks like. Please.
Try to make an adjustment.
I'm saying I probably wouldn't even do that because I wouldn't hurt an actor that way.
Right.
But I just don't think there's a reason for it.
My reasoning would be that for some actors, not all, but some have that self-critical aspect of how do I look on camera, and if you're 5 pounds overweight, or if your hair is out of place, or whatever.
Well, like myself, I don't even like watching myself.
Yeah.
I really don't. There's some projects that I'm curious because I want to see how it goes when, you know, with the thing that we're doing now, Long Reach. I'm going to have to see it because, you know, I'm the writer. But I don't like watching myself either, and that's not uncommon. You know, Brian Cox, who's a great actor, can't stand watching himself.
Right.
From what I understand, Ian McShane, who's my idol, he doesn't like watching himself. So it's not unusual.
Why Ian McShane as your idol?
Ian McShane is because he's so adaptable, and I don't think I've seen any actor that can get more across without saying a word, just through mannerisms and very minimal mannerisms. Whatever it is, he has it. And you know, another one of my favorites, of course, is Boris Karloff, and people don't realize what a great actor Mr. Karloff was. And also, he was doing background work into his 40s.
Wow.
And he's a great story for you know, acting in general and filmmaking in general. He was a background guy who got a break, and he ended up being one of the top actors, not only in a genre, but in any genre.
Right.
And if he didn't get that opportunity, he just would have been one of the background boys. Recently, I was upset because there's a rather large name acting and teacher that comes into the area periodically and does seminars. And I saw on his Facebook page he's making fun of background people.
Oh, that's horrible.
Well, you know what? Okay, number one, it's okay for you to come into Boston, take these people's money. They're all doing background, because if you act in Boston, no matter what, you're doing background if you're trying to support a family.
Sure. And
it's okay to take their money, but then you're going on Facebook and making fun of them?
Yeah, it's not classy.
No.
Yeah, and it's an interesting business, as you know, just like the wrestling business. It's very rewarding, very challenging. You meet so many different people, and you never know what you're going to get. You might meet the top echelon, and you might meet people who are not so nice. You know, it's just all over the place.
And it's funny too, because it was bizarre. When I was a professional wrestler, early on, I discovered that the guys who were the baby faces, the good guys, generally weren't the nicest guys.
Right.
But you take the heels, the bad guys, and they were usually the nicest guys. And I found the same thing with acting, because there's so many parallels. When I was a professional wrestler, I hated anybody comparing acting and wrestling.
Yeah.
But at this stage of my life, I see that the actors like Kane Hodder, who was Jason in Friday the 13th, who is a big, rough-looking guy. He spent a ton of time with my son Timmy 2 weeks ago on a movie set and was a perfect gentleman.
Right.
And some of the top actors, like Ben Affleck, is fantastic with people.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people will say, Mark did this when he was young, Mark did that when he was young. It's like, hey, we all did things when we were young. And one thing about Mark, in particular, he gets it.
Right.
And when you talk to him, he gets it.
Yeah. That's
I have
great.
a lot of admiration for him.
Decoff, you just have so much knowledge of both wrestling and film, and I'll just leave you with one question that I asked the other guests. If you could act with just one actor or entertainer of any generation, before, after, living, dead, who would you pick? Male, female, anything?
I would probably say Boris Karloff.
Yep.
With Ian McShane being neck and neck with him. And then for a female actress, definitely Natalie Portman, who I just enjoy because she's so darn brave. And anybody that's as brave as her, I really admire her a lot. Okay, very
Decoff,
good. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
All right, thanks for having me.
You've been watching Short Film Showcase. I'm your host, Mike Messier. We've had a great episode number 15 of the Short Film Showcase. I want to thank our guests, William Decoff and Christopher Grace, for coming on our show and having some great interviews about their projects. If you'd like to have your short film on the Short Film Showcase, please contact Bryan Casey at bcfilms.net. That's Bryan Casey at bcfilms.net. And if you're thinking about making a short film or even a feature film, I'd like to give you some advice. If you can dream it, shoot it. I'm Mike Messier for the Short Film Showcase.